Throw me into the city. Oh, shit, man.
All I can hear in my head is Jenna Marbles going, this shit is lifting.
Oh, look at that. I think it's lifting. Girl, are we flying? Because this shit is lifted.
There's a hair in my eyeball. Luckily it doesn't have bleach on it yet. I'm sorry, but what does your chaos gremlin do at 9 a.m.? Hell yeah. I love the chunks of whatever the fuck is happening.
Don't worry, okay? If it gets on the blonde, it's just gonna lift it so much that it breaks apart, okay? It's not a big deal.
I like the pieces by my head to be fucking blonde. By my face.
I feel like it's coming out nice. It feels great. I'd say as long as the front is red, we're good. That's all anyone ever sees. No one sees the back of you. Duh. Hell yeah.
I also hear Stevie from Good Mythical Morning going, go all the way down for no reason. Oh my god, this shit is lifting. It's gonna look so weird because I'm kind of banking, such a weird look. I'm banking on this being patchy because this still has strands of my natural hair color, and I think it would be weird if it was like blonde and then a little dark bottom. I also don't know how much is gonna lighten, but we can tone. I don't have toner currently. I have purple shampoo, but we can buy toner. I feel what Jenna said when she was like, you see that scalp saturation? Because you're not supposed to, but you know. How else are we doing that at home? I don't even have a brush.
Look at all these spots I missed. Yeah, but like scalp coverage, 10 out of 10. I'm just kidding. You're not supposed to dye your scalp.
Okay, I do have a timer because I have ADHD time blindness, but once we get a little bit more developed, I'm gonna use my actual hairbrush because it's all plastic and really distribute it as much as I can, and then just strip and jump into the shower. Luckily I got more Olaplex because damage.
How much time has gone by? Is anyone keeping track of the time? I need help. Like, how can this end badly? Look at this.
Good morning. So, update time. First of all, the hair came out pretty nice. Definitely need to tone it, so I just got a toner. So next time I wash my hair, I'll probably touch up like right here. You can see it's a little patchy, and then I'll tone it and then rewash it next time. But it's good for now. I thought I'd give an update because I really didn't film for a couple days. Quite a bit had happened. I feel like I go through purges and releases like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically all at once, so it can be a little bit of a lot. I got what was either the stomach bug or food poisoning, and then had my period, and then had some logistical stress with just being an adult, as well as emotional turmoil in certain connections. So, and with all of that, a sort of awakening of divine anger, because our emotions truly are our internal guidance system trying to protect us. And I had been shamed out of my anger for so long, and I've mentioned this before, but it was just such a sacred return of, no, you deserve better, and it was a really beautiful thing. And yeah, overall just trying to take care of myself. And now this morning I am getting back to a sort of daily routine and ritual, consistently checking in with myself and grounding and being conscious of my consciousness, of my mental diet, of what I declare to be true, because my entire research is on consciousness, and I'm very well aware of the narrative that we play. being the reality we experience. And that's honestly, that was part of the social, interpersonal connection kind of challenge in the past week, was just people that, not that I have manifested, or the connections that I've consciously made choices to have in my life, but the ones in the cards that I was dealt, which I personally believe your soul chooses, but that's a whole other TED Talk. They just constantly show me and reteach me that I don't want to stay naive or ignorant or stubborn or in a very limiting narrative that hurts people. That I think that connection and growth and healing is far more important than a narrative that you think is keeping you safe, but it's actually hurting you. So, yeah, it's been interesting. Long story short, I am trying to continuously ground, and I'm sorry this is a little shaky. I had a little too much caffeine to food ratio thus far today, but we're staying hydrated, we're staying well nourished, which I was not before I got sick and got my period. So again, re-centering back into the body, I was doing research on certain minerals and the body. I was doing research a little bit more on consciousness, on intentional living, grounding practices, meditation, different things that increase dopamine, serotonin, like all these different things, habits, ritualistic behaviors, all of the journaling and the getting the sun for the circadian rhythm and moving the body and just a whole list of things. So I rewrote my daily routine, and I am pretty adaptable and creative on a day-to-day basis. Plus there's so many things that you need, from not just food, water, light, hugs, orgasms, creativity, all of the things that keep humans. So, to what degree each day demands and becomes it's a never-wavering thing, and my creative projects change every day, and my ability and desire to adventure and socialize also change. So anyway, being vague and weird, so I'll give a little update of what's happened. Not really that much. So you can go back over a week ago to last Tuesday. Today's Thursday. I did laundry, nails, and baked cookies with Heaven. That was in the last episode. And then on Wednesday, this is a little shaky, my apologies. I redid that productive routine and even journaled a little bit and got caught up on I read a little bit more of the book that I was reading on the plane, and then I got caught up in an audiobook that I absolutely adored. So I just kept listening to it until almost midnight that night, and finished it. So that was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I had that on paperback for a while, but when I'm in school, there's just so much demand to work and read and research other things, and I just have such a large collection, and that helped when I flattened my foot instead of, while I have caffeine, trying to put it on the balls of my foot. Okay, there we go. Anyway, I just liked the book. I didn't have the time or ability to carry a bunch of books with me while I have months of clothes and toiletries and stuff in my suitcases, and trying to not have them weigh too much, yada yada yada. So yeah, I listened to the audiobook version of that, and I'm glad I finished it, and I really loved that book. And then on Thursday, I had a video chat before a family member's operation, which was intense, but they seem to be doing well. Yes, thunder. I'm so excited. It's been storming every day. So I'm glad I'm getting some sunlight just for my circadian rhythm's sake, honestly, before it does storm. But love a good storm. And it's going to be such a cozy day in once it starts. Yeah, and then I also video chatted Dylan. I have plans to video chat Jillian tonight, or this afternoon, as well as my friend Amanita in next week? I don't know. But yeah, Friday, just this movie with Heaven. Is that the day that we went to the movies? Might have been. I don't even remember when we went shopping and to the movies and to Hooters with Danny. That might have been before last weekend. No, it was last weekend. Sure, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. And then, yeah, Sunday I watched movies all day and it was storming, and I'm pretty sure that's the day I was sick. And then Monday, next Sunday, I was going to say Jillian because I'm so used to being at school and being with Jillian. Next Sunday, I was going to say Dylan. My brain's just not functioning apparently this morning. Heaven and I are going to go play D&D because we've both always wanted to. And there is apparently a place where they have an open campaign that they let people hop in randomly. So we're going to try it. And so on Monday, we got really into trying to build our characters, and that was very funny and exciting. And it reminded me of notes that I had for a possible fiction book, which I always put on the back burner because I have the video diaries, the podcast, Music Mondays, Wellness Wednesdays, producing the album, as well as some other projects in the works. And one of the things that I've written is my journal, and I've tossed around the idea of publishing it one day, but when I write things that are fiction, I also write consciousness work, and I also kind of want to publish that theory work someday as well. But long story short, whenever I would write fiction, I was like, but what if it was real though? But what if we just manifest it and then put it in our journal because it happened, you know? So yeah, I might still write a fiction book because I think that there's like a different perspective and a fun artsy story I can put on it. But yeah, doing some research into creating a D&D persona and doing it, it gave me a little bit more of an idea of what direction I would take the book in. And I have this thing, right, where I will foretell a project I'm going to work on years before it's actually time for me to, and then I get like stubborn about it and I try to do it sooner. Like I had a podcast before the Notebook podcast because I knew I was going to, and so I get stubborn and want things sooner than they're meant to be in divine timing, such as being psychic. But it's happened with like every project. Like I remember I was songwriting as a kid because I wanted to make my first album, and that's not happening until now either. And I mean, like, obviously it prepares me and it's a really beautiful thing, but like I try to initiate projects long before they happen. Like I was filming the Divine Diaries with the mindset that I was going to regularly upload them since middle school, but here we are in season 3, you know, and I'm 25. So yeah, I always like knew the projects I was going to create. So the same thing with the book. Like a lot of the notes that I wrote for it were actually before I started college, and so now to see where that story would have kind of lacked some depth, that now halfway through college with a different perspective on my story, it gives me a different perspective on that story. So I mean, I never regret starting it and getting excited and knowing who I am and what I'm meant to create, But, I also pick up on things that are going to happen in media or are in the collective creative consciousness. Like I was saying to Heaven just last night, that there are a lot of very random things that people have come out with. And this conversation was sparked because we went on Disney Plus last night and we watched the trailer for Miley Cyrus's new album film. And I was saying to her that I have really wanted to create a short film for my album instead of individual music videos for years now. Because I've also had notes for the album for years, so I really knew what direction I wanted to take it in. And I was saying to her that it's funny to me that so many artists are coming out with that now, because that's something that came to me years ago, and then I was like, well, that's something that's happened throughout my life. And the only two that I really remember are kind of ridiculous and really niche. One was when Kim Kardashian came out with a nipple bra. And I actually I found this in the notes that I wrote before college for the first draft of the book. Not first draft, it's not a full draft, but you know what I mean. Where I had one of the characters wear nipple clamps under a bra because when you are larger chested, you want support. But then I remember joking with my friends about the early 90s Friends, Monica and Rachel network nipple, where they had sheer cups so you could see their nipple through it. And I was like, with a more supportive bra, that's not gonna happen. And so what if there was a bra that did that? What if there was a look for people who have bigger chests? And then Kim Kardashian came out with the nipple bra. And the same thing where when I was younger, I liked the VS fashion show, and before they, took their sort of hiatus, which they needed to, I definitely agree with the fact that they needed to make some changes. But I think it was the show that Lady Gaga performed that she got her wings, if I'm remembering that correctly. But I did have the thought just that same year, oh my god, what if the artist earned their wings? And yeah, I don't know. I pick up on things in the creative collective consciousness, in people within my consciousness, people I have energetic ties to, also sometimes strangers, but I tend to try to shield and protect myself as much as possible. But on my own life as well, which, people have difficulty defining on their own life, but the one thing that is always tricky is time. Things come out of time, so I'll know what happens, but not necessarily when. And so certain things I've known for decades before they happened, which is a weird experience. But then I also get really stubborn because I'm excited about my life and my future, and so certain things I have a little bit more autonomy and free will over, because, for example, my relationship with a project is a lot more dominantly, or can be a lot more dominantly, the energy that I feed into it than the external corresponding components. However, it should be a more 50-50, and again, my stubborn nature is trying to feed more into it, when in all actuality there's a time for it for a reason, and I can't do it without that other energy. But then, there's also the energy of connections and relationships with actual other people or entities, which clearly has variables out of my control, because a connection or a relationship is a two-way street. I mean, it is with every relationship in your life, even with your work or with your education or with inanimate objects. There is a give and take. So anyway, I digress. I essentially, after all of the days I just updated you about the last several days, I've been resting, kind of focusing on what does this flexible routine look like and what are my priorities. I'm just trying to recover and nourish my body, really. On Saturday, we're going to go to a different cafe, kind of Scandinavian in vibe, and I think go to the farmer's market and get a little acai bowl. And on Sunday, like I said, we're going to play D&D, and I don't really know what else. I believe there's something else, but that's my update. Still trying to, tie up the loose ends that are infinitely fraying in adult responsibilities, but I don't know. It was very nice to catch up with you, and I'm going to get some work done now.
I'm darling. Hi. Hi, baby. Hi. Hello, girl.
I just talk about picking up on things, especially in media and pop culture, before they happen. And I'm going on Instagram to respond to my friends' messages, including Jillian, who I'm about to FaceTime or video chat on Instagram. And the top of my FYP is Lily Reinhart, I believe is how you pronounce her name, who's holding the love hypothesis and looks dressed in a lab coat in a lab. So maybe they're making a movie. Crazy. Dude, I'm just wasting time for this call, and literally everything I click on, like one person I follow posted a video clip or like a photo brushing her teeth just like the first clip I took today, and then another person posted about a hotel in our college town that I was just writing about like 2 nights ago. What's happening? I'm so in tune right now. It makes me think about all the other things I'm thinking. My best friend Dylan and I have had the conversation many times that we feel like all of the life lessons, morals that you learn as like a kindergartner, like treat others how you want to be treated, sound all cliche and yeah, that's how the world works, until you have a circumstance in life where it like internalizes, and then you're like, oh shit, it really is that simple. Oh my God, that one in particular, but just like maybe the ideology people toss out all the time of like, you never know what people are going through, so like just be compassionate, don't be a fucking dickhead, maybe just a little. I swear to God, there are so many people I encounter that are like, what could we do to like deeply hurt, trigger, inconvenience, irritate, just annoy, be obnoxious, have hatred in your heart? Like, are you having fun? Like, I would say this all the time to my friends, that like one of the biggest reasons why I just didn't ever like really socialize that much is the idea of like gossip or drama just like doesn't logically make sense to me. Maybe I'm fucking neurodivergent as hell, but I'm like, especially after the life that I've led, I actually value my lifetime and life source energy. And to me, if that's something you're prioritizing, then you actually don't understand the value of life or your lifetime or the significance of you or all that you could be or all that you could learn or all that you could experience or all of the love or connection or beauty that this life could hold. And I swear to God, I'm encountered with so many people that I'm like, God damn, I'm so grateful that I have like a grounded sense of self and of reality, because what the fuck, you're making this choice to like consistently be pissed off over things you can't control and hurt people because of it. Like, what the actual that's a choice. Like, you made that choice. You choose to live miserably, and that somehow brings you some sense of satisfaction I do not understand. Welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you. Needed to vent. So today's been particularly challenging for me personally because I've had things show me where limiting beliefs still are. And it's wild to me how much our limiting beliefs can construct, because all of our beliefs, whether they limit us or they help us, construct the reality we experience. So much so that I've noticed that, like, if somebody, okay, I remember when I was younger, there was someone who wanted to believe that I would be like irresponsible in something. And so they happened to be in the car when I made a phone call because I needed assistance with something. Or I've noticed even recently, like, if people want to believe that like vegan food tastes bad, they will happen to try something that I make when I make like an off dish, or like I don't have the right ingredients and it comes out bad or something like that. And I don't know, I just like, it fascinates me. But I've also noticed that all of the people who have maintained long-term connections with me and get to maintain the joys and privileges of that are constantly introspective and take accountability and evolve because of that. And that I just, because I take on that responsibility, because I care too much about my connections to make excuses or lack accountability, I hold those in my life to the same bar. And so those are the only kinds of people who can maintain life with me. And it's so fascinating to me that I'll go into dynamics with an open mind and heart to people always, because to me, I would never want anyone to feel as alone or as without resources as I've felt at different times in my life. And so I'm open to everyone, but people tell me to what degree they are ready and mentally, emotionally, spiritually competent. Not that, like, competence is the wrong word, because it implies that there's inability. There's always an ability to expand, but just where people are at the moment, where they fall in life, in life for me, where, you know, if you're still a decent person, I'll always be your friend, I'll always be your acquaintance. But if I give you the benefit of the doubt several times and continue to be kind to you, and you make choices that have repercussions on me and my life or the people I love, and you do not take accountability, you do not apologize, you do not change, you do not have access to me, point blank, period. Even if you are a somewhat decent person, even if you've done somewhat decent things, I personally have made so many excuses and given so many breaks to so many people for so long, and I was irrevocably hurt. And I had finally gotten to a point where what had kept me going is the little twinkles of beauty and humanity in the world. And it was so incredible to witness and experience and to see that. And slowly but surely I learned that I deserved that as well. And even retrospectively, I had learned after finally going to school that a huge reason why I waited so long, which, you know, I'm grateful for, I needed to heal and gain certain perspective and all of that, but was because I genuinely didn't believe that I deserved to take up resources without giving that back tenfold. And so the fact that I'm in a much more grounded place, and I actually do know my worth, and I do know the enormity of what I bring to the table, this is where we are. So I've been needing to decompress, to kind of cut energetic ties to people and things, and regroup and reaffirm my truth and my lived experience and my soon-to-be lived experience, because that's what it is. And I just wanted to be transparent about that, because it takes a lot to get there when you have gone without, and because of that have been very self-sacrificing in life. So you're not alone. It's not easy, but you are worth it. And one of my favorite things that my therapist used to say is that it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. That, like I mentioned in a previous update, I definitely think that our soul has quite a say in the cards that we're dealt, but again, that's a whole other TED Talk. But the cards that you're dealt, okay, that can suck. We can feel that. And that can be absolutely inexcusable, not okay. But now it's your responsibility to do something with that, because that's what you got to work with. So are you just gonna sit there and be sad about it? Build a really cool life. I mean, what other options do you have?
Can I have a medium blue raspberry slush? Is that it?
Yes. Yes.
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Isn't she?
Women smile. Just in case the men don't.
Ah. That's so funny. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry, I have a little tickle in my throat, so this might be a little hoarse. But hello, good evening. This was a little bit of a heavy episode, and it sort of continued to be as well. I want to say first that those challenges that I name have never had to do with the beautiful people that are my chosen family or the people that I've shown love and appreciation towards. They have consistently been my rock, and honestly the thing that without which I don't think I could do a single thing that I do on a day-to-day basis. Without that grounding, without that validation, without something to tether me in the space, in the chaos of it all, I truly don't think that I would have an anchor. I would have any semblance of self. So I also want to say that why I share these things, the mission of these episodes is to make resources and education accessible. I am passionate about validating feelings and experiences and proving to people that they aren't alone, and yet they can still take autonomy over their life. And that takes discipline, and that takes accountability, and that takes showing a real mirror to the face. Now, all of these circumstances have happened because I have consistently been that mirror for people, even completely unintentionally. There are certain circumstances with what has come up for me to experience and sort through the emotional shrapnel of thrown in my direction, that I have participated in like a handful of words of excuse me, sorry, moving my way through. So what I want to name here is that you have absolutely no control over how people perceive you or the choices that they make. You have control over who you are, how you identify, what your priorities and morals are, and the boundaries you set to keep yourself safe. What kind of people have the privilege of having access to you. I wanted to call this episode, we call this controlling what you can when things feel out of control, based on that Olaf quote, because that's honestly what recently has felt like. And it was a lot of necessary changes that I have known were coming, but they did not need to be so painful, which shows me what people need stronger boundaries and lose access to me and lose my respect, and also shows me how I'm showing up in the connection of what I've allowed and what people feel entitled to do. Again, not that other people's assumptions and harmful behaviors are ever your fault, but what kind of spaces are you putting yourself in? I, again, have put myself in spaces out of necessity, but the choice to meditate or leave said space whenever possible is, you have that autonomy still. I think the helpful tool that I've found recently was someone very trapped in harmful limiting beliefs that ricocheted consequences onto others that they refused to take accountability for, and therefore were just harming their relationships further, had, you know, the egoic limiting belief of like, oh, your circumstances will be a result of your actions. And you know what? 90% of the time, they're true. They're accurate in that. But so often, it's the lesser of evil. It's the cards you've been dealt. It's the what can you do with what you have. And often, a lot of those experiences you're experiencing are actually the repercussions of choices people have made on your behalf. And that's where the boundaries come in. And that's where I'm passionate about making resources and education accessible, because the more power and autonomy you gain, the more you can make choices to distance yourself from those circumstances and from those people, so that your surroundings look more and more like who you authentically are and what you truly deserve. You know, what was so funny about that circumstance was everything that I was dealing with that was challenging was actually consequential of their choices on my behalf. And all of the choices that I've made for myself since then have been the things that have allowed me to have some sense of home, community, accountability, education, sense of identity and self-expression, creativity, and the most contentment and joy I've felt and true to self and identity I have ever felt in my entire life. So honestly, that limiting belief being reflected back onto me to show exactly where they are in their progress was almost humorous to me. And in the other circumstance that I'm dealing with, it is, again, choosing the lesser evil because of setting a boundary in this circumstance, therefore choosing lesser evil until I have the resources to choose what I actually want. So it's like any endeavor, any friendship, relationship, business venture, there will be challenges. It's the things that are worth the work. And you can play the victim, you can be miserable for the rest of your life, or you can face things and things are going to blow up in your face and things are going to be a lot harder, and you're going to be the bitch and you're going to be the bad guy and you're going to be the scapegoat and you're going to be all the things that all the people hate. I've been wearing shorts because it's fucking 90 degrees and humid, and I've been shamed for being a woman having a body who needed to wear something comfortable because it was hot out. And that's completely irrelevant to all of these other circumstances I'm dealing with. It just happened on top of it. Like, people are going to show you their true colors. Believe them, set the boundaries you need to set, find your coping skills, find your means of, again, cultivating that consciousness. I've spent the last 7 hours editing this season thus far, and I'm thinking back at the second Vermont episode, which is the first episode of this season 3, and I'm saying to Jillian, like, the hope of humanity, like I mentioned earlier in this episode, or my shelter dog tendencies. And because I, like, true to my core, like a fucking puppy dog, I I love the hope of people, the idea of people. I would love to care for you and connect to you, but I've just been a puppy that got kicked way too many times, you know? And I don't want this to be like pessimistic in any way whatsoever. My only attempt in articulating this is that it's been 25 years of being the optimist, being the one who takes accountability, being the one that makes the hard decisions on everybody's behalf, being the one that does the work, does the healing, and shows up, makes the changes, makes the hard choices, goes without, sacrifices, waits until I have the means to get what I desire, jumps through psychological hoops to finally believe that I deserve what I desire. I'm the one that's been doing all of that, and it's gotten so much easier. And quite honestly, I wish when I was like 6 years old, I could hear me right now. And so that's why I'm saying this. I in one of these circumstances I'm dealing with right now, I like wrote out this whole essay, and my best friend is proofreading it, and he's like, honestly, I don't think that you're going to get any help or validation. They've already decided that, like you're bitching, or your perspective's off, or you're guilt tripping, or like whatever narrative they need to spin to not take accountability for the fact that they're not showing up in the way that you need them to. And I was like, but I love them. And this is like, for me to give up on another person is absolutely fucking devastating. But for me to continue to just be shot at in the fucking soul every day, that's not self-respect. And to allow that kind of connection in my life would mean that I would be open to making excuses for people, and I'm not. So I said earlier, I hold the people in my life to the same standard that I hold myself to. And honestly, all of these shy, awkward misfits with like every like label you could put on them are the people who actually showed up, are the people who actually had the fucking gall to give a shit and evolve. And they never needed to change for me. They just needed to have a semblance of emotional intelligence and some desire to actually have a peaceful life. So anyway, I hope this tangent in some way grants you some amount of validation or peace of mind that you are not alone, you are not crazy. It is really hard, and it's something that no matter how far you come, no matter, for me, I'm, thinking of my home and my family and the businesses I want to run and the, dissertation I want to write and shit like that. And there's still little things like this sprinkled into my experience. And like I said, you have control over how you show up, how you spend your time, who you show up with. And so with all of that self-care work I was talking about, I was like, okay, that's really triggering. I'm going to take a step back and do a breathing exercise. I'm going to take a step back and ground. I'm going to start my day with meditating. I'm going to feed my body with as nourishing foods as I have access to. I'm going to reach out to friends that are supportive. I'm going to do that checklist of things that I said, laughter, like sleep, all the things that a human needs. And, when I have work to do, okay, what can I show up to do? What do I have the spoons to do? Because I'm neurodivergent. How can I have discipline, and how can I have grace with myself and not push myself too far? Because doing that consistently isn't sustainable either. And so people who aren't showing up for themselves like that, who don't have the self-respect to actually want better for their own lives, are going to wallow in that self-pity and in those negative vibes, and they're going to try to drag you down with them. And it's so humorous because honestly, in my experience, almost all of them like hide behind some like better than now like ideology, like very you know, spiritual or some religion or like being like smarter than other people or something like that. Like they're like, oh, I'm above it, you know? And they're so below it almost every time. Not to say anything about any community, because I consider myself a part of spiritual communities, of academic communities, things like that. But I've found that a lot of harmful people will attach their ego really tightly to some identity that like grants them some sense of superiority over your actions, which is a scapegoat for accountability. But anyway, that's just, it's a humorous little anecdote that I've come across again and again. I'm tangenting at this point. I just want to say that take it day by day. We got this. I'm okay. I still have all of the people that I love and cherish. And I'll be back at school soon. I'll be back at home. And we will have a permanent home when we graduate, and things will be good.